Friends, we are live. It is CFLW here on this Wednesday, just a little bit past 5 o'clock, coming up on 5:15. Rusty with you here, tracking some strong and severe storms across portions of Central Florida. These things have pulsed up relatively quickly here on this late Wednesday afternoon, so want to jump on and cover those guys with you live. Give me a quick mic check as well, guys. If you can hear me, just let me know in the thumbs up. I was working on a couple of things behind the scenes, so just want to make sure that you guys can hear me, and then we'll move on from there. All right, so I'm going to assume that you guys can at this point in time. And again, let me know in the chat. I appreciate those who have tuned in to let me know. Let's talk about what's been developing here. It's been mainly across the I-4 corridor, right over portions of the Orlando metro area. We do have one active severe thunderstorm warning right now, and that is going to be just east of the Sanford area. This is what it looks like as kind of an overall view. We have 60-mile-an-hour winds, some inch-size hail. Oviedo, Winter Springs, Geneva, Lake Harvey, Mullet Lake Park. I love some of these areas here are areas that could be underneath this severe thunderstorm warning that goes for the next 60 minutes. Thank you, Marilyn. Appreciate that. Ton of lightning developing with this. We had some really heavy rainfall, and we had some really significant wind. As a matter of fact here, the wind at the Sanford Airport earlier had gusted over 50 miles an hour. And again, right on the north side of Oviedo, the opportunity here with that pulsing kind of fuchsia area to have some hail, maybe more than an inch in size. That is going to be some, quarter size hail that could cause some damage. Now, before I go too much farther, I got to let you guys, a 66? No way. Did that really just happen? Wow. Downtown Orlando, if this is true, might have just had a 66-mile-an-hour wind. Now, why wouldn't they issue a severe thunderstorm warning for that? We'll have to see if that's valid. These storms are going quick. What I really quickly wanted to say is, of course, you guys know CFLW is sponsored by the lead law firm of Central Florida. We appreciate them being supporters of the channel. They cover the entire state of Florida. It is storm season, friends. You get damage, wind damage, hail damage. Even a hurricane comes through, they can walk you through every step of the insurance claim process. Their website is at the bottom of the screen, leanonmelaw.com, if you would like more information. But that sticks out like a thumb, guys. Did we really get a 66-mile-an-hour wind here in the downtown Orlando area? Hey, Amy, how you doing? Of course, we've got our camera out of the Conway area. I want to slip over to that real quick. I mean, you can clearly see that shelf cloud moving through. Now, this camera is looking east, and these storms are beginning to move east. So really, that's kind of like the leading edge of it. That's almost the gust front that's come through, and not really any of the stormy weather as of yet. So we'll see. But man, did Orlando have a 66-mile-an-hour wind gust? If you guys live in downtown Orlando and you felt some of that wind, let me know in the comment section below. But these storms are going hard fairly quickly. That's a live look outside to the Winter Garden area. There are some storms developing south of this camera along the 429 back down towards Disney and the Hamlin area, and working their way up north and into the southeast and eastern sides of Lake County as well. So I'll be monitoring our live cameras here. But again, just as I came on a couple seconds ago, the executive airport wants to report that it has 66-mile-an-hour wind gusts. Now, what I'm curious about is that if that is valid, why is there not a severe thunderstorm warning for that? We'll have to kind of wait and see. This storm, by the way, over Oviedo has just blown up. That is more than likely producing some hail. That's why we have the severe thunderstorm warning. And this is the kind of hail that can cause some damage. Now, to move east and move out of Oviedo and Chulliota, or even build a little bit to the south. Typically, or generally speaking here, when we take a look at, the overall here, we've got south at 7, but the warning itself is slightly off towards the east. Let's take a look at what the Weather Service has right now. They've got a south movement at 5 as well. So if it's really more due south, when I was looking at this just before I came on, if it really is more due south, then the eastern sides of Oviedo need to get prepared for torrential rainfall and the opportunity for some good sized hail. When we get up to these whites, This is the highest of the legend that I've got here as we get into the reflectivity. This is probably extremely heavy rainfall ingested with some pretty good size hail, maybe an inch or even greater in size. That is a potentially destructive storm. Let's take a look at the estimated mean hail size out of this, and there you go. Now again, this could be a little bit in the way, congested with some of the reflectivity. So, you know, when you look at 1.5 inches, it might be a little bit overdone, but probably not a lot overdone, because remember, the actual warning is for inch-size hail. But the eastern side of Oviedo and then 419 back towards the western sides of Chulliota, if you can get the cars inside, first of all, it's probably over your head. You don't even have an opportunity. But, you know, if you think you're in the way of this potentially destructive storm and you can get the car inside, I would do that. Otherwise, again, you know, prepare for what could be some destructive hail here on the eastern sides of Oviedo. Hey, Bobby, how you doing? Bobby says significant wind, close lightning, dime-sized hail passed through the lean law in Sanford about 4:30. It did, Bobby. That was the beginning of that storm. It picked up a 50-mile-an-hour wind at the Sanford Airport, back down to 29 right now. But this was the storm that moved east and has, you know, become severe. So appreciate that. Go back over to the reflectivity here. There we go. So this is a really pulsed up storm at this point in time, all right? And again, it is moving out of Sanford, so the weather is improving there. We continue to have a lot of heavy rain and scattered thunderstorm activity here over right downtown Orlando. So Winter Park and Baldwin Park, Orlando, Delaney Park, again, moving off towards the east. Still curious to see if that really was a 66. I said, you know, 30, a gust up to 66. We'll see if that verifies. And then this is the other storm to be monitoring that could continue to build up here through the 5 o'clock hour. And that's down the 429 from the southern sides of Winter Garden, Gotha, and Windermere back down towards Hamlin and towards Lake Buena Vista. And as a matter of fact, you get back down towards the 192 interchange on the 429, the Western Beltway, near Four Corners, and there's the opportunity that we could be pulsing up a bit of hail there as well. And again, this in these core thunderstorms, this is not baby hail today. This is hail that could be destructive. This could be more than an inch size hail in a couple of spots. Now you notice in that last jump from the radar that there is a little bit of an eastern movement, and I think overall there will be slow erratic movement, but probably trying to build to the east in the short term or kind of slide its way a little bit off to the south. But you know, again, you live in the Celebration area, you got to watch out right along 192 for some of this intense rainfall, some lightning, but again, some hail cores beginning to develop in a lot of these spots as well. We had some thunderstorms that were beginning to try and pulse up 75 far southern sides of Pasco County into Hillsborough County, but from Land O'Lakes to Plant City, these have actually dissipated a bit in just the last 15 minutes. It's still a good thunderstorm over Land O'Lakes, but not even a special weather statement. So friends, it's right across I-4 right now that we really have to monitor the situation for, you know, some very intense storms producing some very heavy rain, a lot of lightning, and potentially some destructive hail, especially out of the storm right here. Let me put this into motion so you guys can see what this looks like over the last half hour. Now again, you're going to see a bit of an east movement overall, but the strongest part of the storm is building south, all right? So if this continues and it holds together, you got to watch out for more of east side of Oviedo through the western sides of Chulliota, potentially, you know, kind of coming down Loma here towards the UCF area. Not out of the question. We'll see how that plays out. But there could be another intense part of this as well, kind of draped over 46 and then trying to get into the southern sides of Volusia County a little bit deeper. The overall severe thunderstorm from the Weather Service looks like this. 60-mile-an-hour winds, quarter-size hail. As when you get to the inch-size hail, damage to vehicles expected, wind damage to roof siding and trees. We already mentioned the areas of Oviedo, Winter Springs, Geneva, Lake Harney, and the Mullet Lake Park. And get a lot of lightning to go along with this as well. And again, this severe thunderstorm warning does go all the way until 5:30. So for the next 7 minutes, and we'll see if they extend it. But, you know, as Bobby Lean was saying, you had a special weather statement here, and then you had the severe thunderstorm develop on the south side of that and push off towards the south. And again, you know, was there really a 66-mile-an-hour wind gust? I don't think there was. I think that was probably erroneous data, but we'll check and see. Hey, Blue Goose, how you doing? Blue Goose says slamming up there in St. Augustine. down to 71 degrees, 93% humidity, and a lot of lightning, indeed. All right, appreciate that, Blue Goose. I'm going to go out just to a broad perspective here to reset things, and then we'll zoom back in. It's still showing the 66. I don't know. Again, I'd love to get some verification on that. And they have reissued a new severe thunderstorm warning. So here you go. Exactly what we were just talking about. Their concern, the Weather Service office, is that this is going to continue to stay severe on the eastern sides of the Metro Orlando area and get a little bit farther to the south and potentially even run across the 408 here. So, you know, the 417 area, the Eastern Beltway, and then back over towards the 408, including University of Central Florida is included in this. So this is the actual bulletin for the National Weather Service. It includes southeastern Civito County, east central Orange County until 6 o'clock. Severe thunderstorm located near Oviedo or over Oviedo, moving southeast at 5. Again, it's not moving much, so some very heavy rainfall is an opportunity to go along with this as well. And again, quarter-sized hail. So hail damage to vehicles is expected when you get to that inch-size hail. Vehicles out, you get inch-size hail, you're going to expect some vehicle damage. Expect wind damage to roof siding and trees. Oviedo, Winter Springs, the University of Central Florida, Bithlo, Chuliota could potentially be impacted by this storm. And again, my computer is picking up potentially all the way up to 1.5 inch size hail and moving just east of south at 176 degrees. Let's track this for you guys. This is what my computer has, time of arrival. Again, 5 miles an hour. It's not moving quickly. UCF, 554, University Park area, 555. If it holds together, and this is, 40 minutes down the road, so there's no guarantee it holds together this long, but potentially the Alafaya area at 609. All right. So again, if you guys are just tuning in and you live in the Metro Orlando area, storms are beginning to fire up. Some of them are quite healthy right now. We have a severe thunderstorm kind of on the northeast side. It developed over the Sanford area with a ton of heavy rain, lightning, and some hail, and it has only become stronger as it's kind of moved east and actually is now moving more south than anything back into the eastern sides of Orange County. Again, waiting to see if this wind report in Executive Airport is true at 66 miles an hour. Could have been a little bit of a downburst wind, right? A little bit of a heat burst there. There's not a lot of rain associated with that. So I'll be watching to see if that's true. And then you have a special weather statement for an intense storm on the western side here, the 429. Does expire in 3 minutes, but 50-mile-an-hour winds and some 3/4 inch size hail. Both of those criteria are teetering on the opportunity for some, to get to the severe thunderstorm warning criteria, which is 60 inch size hail. This is what it looks like in Winter Garden for you right now. Again, we're looking to the west. So that thunderstorm that is producing the special weather statement is on the left-hand side of your screen. Skies are a little bit clearer out towards the north right now, but if you look at the bottom of your screen, you will see that palm tree is blowing from south to north, so all that is building up into the Winter Garden, Ocoee areas, right across the Turnpike and Colonial here in the far western sides of Orange County. So, billowing up and a good amount of lightning associated with that as well. Here's a live look to, not there, but to Conway. Again, that is actually the severe thunderstorm. So we're looking kind of just north of east from this camera, and that is the leading southern flank of that severe thunderstorm. You can see, again, this nice shelf cloud that has developed ahead of what's going to be the main area of precip and potentially hail. And more than likely here, when we keep looking at this camera, we'll start to pick up some lightning, but you can pick up the lightning. So, in this storm structure, you get that overhanging shelf cloud, which is going to be the leading edge moving from south to north. Again, this camera's looking east, so north, south. So we're going to see the leading edge of this come in like this. We're going to pick up the gust front with a lot of wind right here underneath that low-hanging deck. Then you're going to get the intense rain. And then actually the core of the lightning typically follows all of that, right? It's kind of embedded within some of the more moderate to heavy rain, but you still get that gust front and heavier rain to kind of lead the way out ahead of all of this. Very, very clear to see the structure of this severe thunderstorm from this camera there in Conway. Hey, Palm Bay Jags fan, what can you expect in Palm Bay this evening? The opportunity that some of this tries to work its way into your area, but that being said, I do expect there to be a better chance that these thunderstorms will stay in interior locations and dissipate before they get towards the East Coast. But it is something actually, because these storms have already gotten a little bit more robust than I expected them to at the 5 o'clock hour. That we'll check in with the HRRR model and see if it wants to try and point any storms your direction. So remind me of that. But I do expect most of this activity to be interior today and typically not be able to move back towards the east or west coast with this kind of intensity. Again, appreciate you guys tuning in. We're live here on this Wednesday at 5:28. Taking a couple of sips of water. I have already done a lot of talking today in the various channels. Speaking of that, I'm going to do something behind the scenes here real quick. If you guys know, I do the Media Mundo channel, which is Caribbean and Bahamas forecasting. I was uploading that video as this started going crazy, so let the computer do that. Just uploaded that. So if you guys are subscribers to the Media Mundo channel, you'll see that I just posted that video that I just got done updating. But those are much longer videos. I talk a lot in those. There's those, again, a little bit of rain now beginning to move into Winter Garden. Nice little deck of clouds too. Kind of interesting cloud structure for you there to continue to monitor there. So I want to go back over to the weather computer here. And again, let's set the scenario. That's not the weather computer. That's the weather computer. This is the one I wanted to bring on. We'll go back out to the broad view here real quick. And here's the situation. All right. So at this point in time, we had a couple of thunderstorms developing out west, portions of Pasco, portions of Hillsborough County. Those have actually died back down. All right. This cluster of storms right now looks like we've lost the special weather statement. We'll see what the Weather Service wants to do. And the main reason I'm coming on is, first of all, this storm was very severe, but I wanted to just watch this with you guys. And I figured we'll do this live. We might as well, because there is the potential for some of this to be destructive today, right? You get to this south edge here of this storm, which is sneaking towards the University of Central Florida area. And again, now you have 60-mile-an-hour winds and some inch-size hail. That kind of hail size can cause some problems. Again, looking back at the track again, we have some of the main area coming in towards Chuliota at around 546. This is not moving very quickly. The southern extent of it is building south. It's about ready to move over 50. So if you live in the Bithlo area, you live in Alafaya, you live in Avalon Park, you look to the north, you probably see a really, really dark sky, and that is headed your way. There's not a ton of lightning associated with this part of it. The highest lightning strikes right now are still back up to the north, back over the eastern sides of Seminole, trying to slip into the far southwest sides of Volusia County. But the most robust part of that storm is off to the south. Hey Farrah, how you doing? Hope you're doing well today. Thanks for tuning in. Once again, I'm trying to get verification if this is true, but the METAR site at the Executive Airport in downtown Orlando at 5:07, just 24 minutes ago, reported a 66-mile-an-hour wind. Was that a bit of a little downburst wind coming out of this outflow? We'll have to wait and see. Now, we do have a new special weather statement, and it's for the south side of that area, and it now does include Celebration. We talked about how we were building in this thunderstorm across the I-4 corridor. Again, also, it's 5 o'clock. I-4 stinks. It doesn't matter what time of the day you drive it. I've tried to drive it at midnight one time, and it was still heavy traffic. But when you're talking about 5 o'clock rush hour traffic in this area, down towards Champions Gate and the attractions where it always slows down, even if you're going westbound, it slows down at the 429 interchange, and it really slows down eastbound as you get towards the Disney exit. This is a bad scenario to have this kind of very heavy rainfall and gusty winds coming in. It's going to reduce visibility, and you just hope that people are slowing down enough and respecting the weather that's out there, because it's going to be potentially dangerous. Good part of that thunderstorm is over the Hamlet area. This is going to work its way towards Lake Butler. Again, some heavier rain right now over Lake Buena Vista. The attractions area is covered up right now. Heavy rain and lightning. All right, unfortunately, we don't have our camera at Lake Buena Vista right now, but this is going to be an area that you're going to want to be indoors as well. So anyone at the attractions going to want to find the ponchos and get inside for a point in time. Again, there's this break in the action where if this 66 is true, it's because there was some kind of heat burst outflow that pushed down a lot of wind. But I'm just curious to see if that really held out. Now, you do have this line over MCO, and that is the outflow boundary. So, did that produce a 66-mile-an-hour wind? We'll just have to kind of wait and see. There's the 29 in Sanford, but again, earlier today it was up to 55. As a matter of fact, let's get the loop going here. I'm going to take off the radar out of Melbourne and just bring on the composite, just so everyone kind of gets an idea of how this developed in the last 2 hours. Let's do that. So here's the loop. You're going to see the wind gust here. It's kind of hard to see with the severe thunderstorm warnings on here, but I can take those off real fast. So take a look at the winds there. It was a 61 actually in Sanford, right? So we've had a 61 here, and we potentially had a 66 in Orlando, but if it really was a 66, the Weather Service should have issued a severe thunderstorm warning, so I don't know why they didn't. Hey, Bacon Rage 28, how you doing? Appreciate you guys tuning in. Thanks, everyone. If you're here, thanks for taking a quick second, hitting that like button for me right now. Thank you for subscribing to CFLW. If you haven't as of yet, you want to join me on our other channels, Media Mundo, Weather Express. Appreciate you who find those and click those subscribe buttons as well. Palm Bay Jags fan, again, you had some thunderstorms south of you, but those have died out. And so these are going to have to make a run back into your area, but ultimately probably not going to. Now, how far south and east this severe storm gets, we'll have to wait and see. But big time thunderstorm there, a lot of lightning. You can look at that lightning count just pulse up, right? Going from just a couple of lightning strikes to when that storm went gangbusters. And really, right now, at 5:35, we've had the most lightning in this view that we've had, because there's a lot of lightning here and there's increasing lightning back down to the far southwest sides of Orange County. Elsewhere, DeLand has had a good thunderstorm over those areas. I've been watching it. I promise you guys, DeLand, DeLeon Springs, up to a 30. Good lightning. Never became a special weather statement, just a good summer thunderstorm with some heavier rain there. Could have been some pea-sized hail. It's a possibility. Blue Goose was talking about what's going on in St. Augustine. It's true. You get north right here towards the Jacksonville area and I-10 back towards Gainesville. This has actually been even more active with a ton of lightning, hundreds and hundreds of lightning strikes, and enough heavier rainfall over St. Augustine where they do have a flash flood warning right now. And it's not out of the question that portions of Central Florida could fall under at least a flood advisory, right? Again, so I'll be monitoring that situation for you guys as well. If you guys have a specific question about the forecast, just like Palm Bay Jags fan, feel free to drop it in the comments section below as well. Happy to answer that. But pretty intense storms right now in clusters developing over portions of Metro Orlando. Of course, we cover all of Central Florida, watching Tampa as well. But, this is where the action is. So let's get back into this severe thunderstorm. Now, it goes all the way until 6 o'clock. And this core of potentially up to inch plus size hail is beginning to sneak its way into the UCF area here. Just going to look at the velocity with this. First of all, there's some wind here, but do you see those brighter greens? There's actually more wind up here kind of behind it. Nothing crazy, but we've had some gusts coming out of this that the radar is probably not picking up on. So I think there's heavy rain and hail here, and the north and east of Chuliota, you probably have even a little bit stronger winds on that kind of outflow bank here, kind of propagating a little bit more east. It's kind of a little bit farther east than the rest of the storm. Back over to the reef. Nope, let's do this. Back over to the estimated hail size. Well, of course it's not showing right now. We were looking at inch to inch and a half. And those brighter ones on this product as well would be indicative of hail cores as well. So certainly the opportunity. I'll be monitoring that. Might reset it to bring it back on. But here's the bottom line. If you guys are in these areas here, and these are very high reflectivities, anything over 60s, cranking on the radar, and DBZs when we talk about reflectivity. So heavy, heavy rainfall. Not a lot of lightning, but potentially some hail right over UCF. You guys live in the UCF area, Alafaya, Dean Road, even as far to the east as Bithlo. If you live in Avalon Park and you look to the north, get prepared. This is coming your way, right? If you live on the western side of Orange County, so here's a new special weather statement. We talked about this storm as well. So there's another special weather statement that just got issued for the western side of Orlando, right? Let's take a look at what we've got here with this one. We've got a strong thunderstorm over Windermere, tracking south and east. So now we're putting a little bit of an east movement to the storms. 50-mile-an-hour winds and some nickel-sized hail. Again, nickel-sized hail typically doesn't cause damage, but it's close. Can't rule it out, right? Minor hail damage to vegetation. Typically, we don't have structure damage with nickel-sized hail, car roofs, but get enough nickel-sized hail, you could cause a couple little dinks there in the old shingles. Orlando, Ocoee, Winter Garden, Windermere, and Bay Lake. Now, it's kind of going to be more like the east side of Winter Garden, south side of Ocoee, but Pine Hills, Orla Vista, Gotha, Windermere, Lake Butler, Hamlin, Metro West. My friends in Metro West, here's the Turnpike, here's Metro West. Back over towards like Good Homes Road in Orla Vista. Grab a little drink. I didn't even have time to grab my Lean Law tumbler. These storms cropped up that fast. I was watching them, but again, I was uploading the other Media Mundo event. I was like, oh, it's time to go. By the way, this hail core, which could be slipping into the southern sides of Metro West, might sneak across I-4 and hit Tangelo Park. Now, the nickel-sized hail, the 0.88, that is close. If we get nickel hail, that's not much away from that quarter to the inch-sized hail, and in between those two measurements, you get a hail, a couple of hailstones that are greater than that nickel, and you can get some destructive hail. Again, with such slow movement, locally heavy rainfall is likely. We could start to see some flood advisories being issued as well for the National Weather Service in Melbourne. 6:16, right around the time of arrival there in Tangelo Park. So again, you can see my radar system counting down for you to the second when we could expect that potential hail core to be moving in. And again, overall, up to an inch in size. So my radar right in line with what the National Weather Service has out of that. So you have two different special weather statements that encompasses portions of Orange and Osceola counties. The far southern one right now is going to be for northwestern Osceola County. Again, southeast at 5, 50.5 inch size hail, moving towards Kissimmee, Intercession City, Celebration, West Lake Toho, and the Point Siena areas. Again, you guys have a specific question about the forecast, feel free to drop it in the comment section below. Appreciate you joining me for this live coverage here on CFLW of severe weather in Central Florida. These storms popped up nice and quickly here late on this Wednesday afternoon. Nice little sea breeze interaction today, a little bit of lift in the atmosphere. Again, we kind of have there's this trough. If I go over to the composite radar here just real quick for you guys, we've actually got this trough that's brought a lot of thunderstorm activity to the Bahamas, but it's just allowed a lot of active weather today across Florida, even a little bit more prolific up to our north. But just look at all that lightning. So just an active weather day here, kind of enhanced by a couple of features that are currently into play. And, I mentioned this on yesterday's show. I saw you guys at 7 o'clock yesterday. I said, look, I think thunderstorm coverage would be going up regardless, and the opportunity that some of these storms could pulse up and be on the strong to severe side. And when they are, we're going to cover them for you guys live. Let's go back out to our live cameras and check out these storms. Again, interesting to see a couple of different things here. So let me switch over. I want to first go back over to the Conway cam. Again, this is that severe thunderstorm. If you look off to the right-hand side of your screen, that is the leading edge as it slowly propagates its way off to the south and to the east. And then thunderstorms will continue to, move in with that. But that is that severe storm with the potential for some inch-size hail near the UCF area, back towards Alafaya, Azalea Park, places like that. Again, far eastern sides of Orange County. But clear shot of the structure of that storm here from our Conway cam. Hey, Western Ohio weather, anything in Alachua? Do you mean Alachua or the city of Alachua? And I believe there's both, right? If I'm not mistaken. Hey, Sherry, what do you got? Okay, let me go back here real quick. Okay, Sherry has hail at 50 in Avalon Park Boulevard. Okay, pea size to pebble size. So there you go. Thank you, Sherry, for that ground truth report. Again, that's the storm that you're seeing from Conway. We're looking back into that. So Sherry is in all of this right now in where are you again? Avalon, right? 50 in Avalon, so Colonial and Avalon. And so this is the storm that we're looking at that Sherry's into. I appreciate that, Sherry. Thanks for that. Hi, Linda. How are you doing? Again, right now, Linda, not expecting this to work its way towards Brevard, at least in this fashion. We'll look at that coming up, but I think this is mainly interior I-4 thunderstorms for today, for the most part, but I appreciate your question. Again, really, really neat shot here from Winter Garden. The storms are just a little bit east of this camera, but you can see some of the wind feeding into that and the darker clouds. That's an ominous looking sky, isn't it? Because we're looking back off towards the west and the horizon where it's clear at our western areas, but right over this camera, we have some of those dark building clouds. So neat shot there at the far western sides of Orange County. So back over to the weather computer here, and let's kind of zoom in on that area that Sherry was letting us know about. And it was the area that we were talking about. It's right here. So here's UCF, here's Alafaya, here's Avalon Park itself. And so you've got 50 in Avalon Park Boulevard, which I can bring up the individual city street names. I'm not going to probably do that right now, but if we got into like a tornado tracking mode and I had to, but you get the idea that Sherry is saying, here you go. You've got Peta pebble-sized hail right there right now. Linda says your weather radar is going up. Probably a marine warning. I don't know why. If you have it for Brevard County, Linda, I wouldn't know why as of yet. No marine warning, I don't believe. Let's see. I do have every warning type on, so we would get the marine warning if it was there. See, there's a marine warning for St. Augustine. Don't know why, Linda. Sometimes you have to look and see how you've programmed that weather radar. You might have it for an area that's not just Brevard County, but that's okay too, right? And again, here's another core of potential hail moving right through the Metro West area. Windermere, you know, beautiful, beautiful homes here. We know that. Potentially heading that way. Let me reset this shot here real quick, guys. All right, going to go out a little bit farther. And again, nice little trough here, enhancing the development and the interaction of the sea breeze for today. All right, there we go. This is why I wanted to reset it, because I thought we weren't getting everything. Yeah, this is a problem. These storms are getting stronger. These storms are becoming more intense, and they are going to be moving over Metro Orlando. Notice that the hail size in these storms are going up, man. Not a fantastic scenario. I'm going to drop off the special weather statements just so you guys can see. So the 3 severe thunderstorms that we have right now, inch size hail, 1 1/4 size hail, 1 1/4, 1.5 inch size hail. This is a destructive thunderstorm. We have to watch this one. We get up to 1.5 inch size hail, we've got a problem. And more than likely, the Weather Service went up to 1.5 inches by what's happening right here over the Metro West area. This is the Turnpike 91 on my map, so just east of Gotha, because there's nothing down here as of yet, but that's going to be a problem. So let me give you the bulletin here from that severe thunderstorm, and then we'll look at the one off to the west here in a second. So from the National Weather Service, here's what we got, guys. Severe thunderstorm, southwest Orange County until 6:30, located near Universal Studios. Again, the attractions area is covered up, or Windermere moving southeast at 10. Ping pong ball size hail is no joke. I mean, that is high-end Florida hail size. High-end Florida hail size, ping pong ball size hail, 60-mile-an-hour winds, all right? People and animals outdoors will be injured. And the reason why they're doing this is because this could sneak down towards the attractions, right? So Universal and SeaWorld and the Disney properties, and you've got potentially up to ping pong ball size hail in an area that there's a lot of outdoor visitors and people who may not be as weather aware as, you know, native Floridians. And they're going to be very cautious with this. So again, Orlando, Windermere, Conway, Oak Ridge, Pine Hills, 1.5 inch size hail. So ping pongs. Whew, that's nasty. All right, let's track this. Again, southeast at 12 is what I'm going to go. Southeast at 12. So here's what I'm going to do. Bring on the manual tracking here. I don't really even have to. I think this is actually perfect. Well, it's just not wide enough though. But I'm going to do a broader one. But from this hail core, you've got Tangelo Park 559, Meadowwoods at 638. So even outside of the severe thunderstorm warning. But you notice that this is going to cross I-4 near Tangelo Park and Dr. Phillips. But even places like Bay Hill is going to be potentially impacted. The Millennia area, Oak Ridge, once again, this is a horrible time for this intense thunderstorm to be coming through that area with the traffic that we see on I-4 this time of the day. So let me try and do, if it will let me, I'll go out about 10 miles an hour because I think it's about what the Weather Service had. So, all right. This would be to give you guys an idea of if there actually is some 1.5 inch size hail near the Metro West area right now, how it's going to be moving and where and when it could be impacting your spots, guys. So we've got Millennia at 605, Tangelo Park at 608, Oak Ridge 614, Edgewood 622, Skylake 624, Pine Castle 626, Belle Isle 632. Again, this severe thunderstorm warning is for winds of up to 60 miles an hour and 1.5 inch size hail. That is destructive ping pong ball size hail if we actually get that size. And again, if you guys live in these areas, let me know. Again, Millennia, your time to impact is going to be in about 13 minutes. Oak Ridge, your time to impact, 22 minutes. Tangelo Park, your time to impact, 17 minutes. Towards Bay Hill. Bay Hill, it's coming. Now, Bay Hill, Dr. Phillips might get lucky. The core of that storm might just stay along the turnpike and not get this far south. You are in the severe thunderstorm warning, but we can clearly see that not all parts of the severe thunderstorm warning are equal. All right. Back out to the big perspective. Let's get rid of that manual tracking. Oh, that was a Bluetooth device that disconnected. Just checking a couple of things here, guys. Okay, we're still good. So, the new severe thunderstorm warning on the east side of the Metro Orlando area with this hail, which we have a report from Sherry was at least pebble size, right, is now going to be for the next 23 minutes. And this is going to include the far eastern sides of Orange County, right along the 417 and the beach line out towards the Wedgefield area. So let's get the information on that one. Again, severe thunderstorm warning, southeast Orange County till 6:15. We've got a severe thunderstorm over Avalon Park, as we already know. Moving south at 15, 60 mile an hour winds and $50 size hail. Damage to vehicles is expected. Wind damage to roof, siding, and trees. Wedgefield, Avalon Park, Bithlo, and Christmas included in this. This is going to skirt the far eastern sides of Metro Orlando. Here is Lake Nona, Lee Vista Boulevard. You've got the beach line, the 528. There is Orlando, OIA or MCO. And again, these thunderstorms are kind of collapsing in on that area. You still have a special weather statement back down towards Celebration. Let me show you guys the overall movement of all of this. Bring up the composite radar. I'm just going to loop this up over the last hour. And so you guys can see kind of the overall movement of these storms. So what's interesting again is this storm developed to move west to east, and now it really is going more south. This storm developed over the 429, and as it's gotten stronger, it's propagating a little bit more south and east. There is some east movement to all of this, but also it looks like the cores of these storms are moving more south than anything, more in a south to southeast fashion than anything. But northwest sides of the Metro Orlando area into Lake County, things will begin to improve, looking better there. Again, I was watching some thunderstorms in Pasco and Hillsborough County. Those have quieted down and cooperated as well. We've had a little bit of light rain in Brevard County, but we're okay so far down there. Really far south side of Polk County, we've got a special weather statement. Thunderstorms have been very prolific up north. Heavy rain and some flooding potential for the St. Augustine area. Can't even rule out the opportunity here in the Metro Orlando area to start also getting some flood advisories. That hasn't been the case. Those will pop up on my weather computer if they do develop. But, you know, when you see these storms stick around long enough, and they've only been out here for about an hour, but if they were to continue for the next hour or two, now you're talking about potentially, 2 to 4, even 3 to 5 inches of rain in some spots. But the biggest situation right now is the potential for destruction for some large hail that's being produced out of these storms. That is the big weather story today across the area. And again, right, 61 mile an hour wind in Sanford. I don't even know if it popped up there early enough. I have to go back in time. But Orlando, if it's true, had a 66 mile an hour wind. So the two major airports in the area, if I go back, I think enough in time here, you should see a 61 pop up as that thunderstorm developed. Of course, the special weather statement went right over it. Let me see if this tells the story. All right, took off those. So you'll see a 61 there, and then a 66 here in downtown Orlando. Still looking to verify that one. That was a thunderstorm wind gust in Sanford. That would have been not a thunderstorm wind gust in the executive airport of Orlando. All right, so let's get back on our radar. Excellent. And again, you guys have a specific question about the forecast, feel free to drop it in the comment section below. Yeah, Linda, depending on what kind of weather radar you have, typically there's like county codes, and you might be able to go in and program them on and off. I always like to tell people you probably want to certainly have the county that you live in, and then maybe the surrounding counties as well, just depending on how much kind of heads up you want to get. Sometimes it gets annoying because if you have Orange County and there's a thunderstorm over Orlando and it's nowhere near you, then you get kind of put off by the fact that there's a thunderstorm that's beeped on your weather your weather radio, but it's nowhere near you. But at least have the county that you live in, no doubt about it. I'm going to see if this hail size product is back yet. If not, I'm going to reset something, because we still have reflectivity and we still have velocity. Yeah, let's go over here back to I'm going to do something real quick behind the scenes, but we can always take a look at our cameras. And again, great shot here out of the Disney area, or excuse me, out of the Conway area. This is looking at that severe thunderstorm. So the one that is producing the hail in the Alafaya area. And I mean, there's a little bit of that slight aqua tint. It's not like emerald green, but if you guys notice, there's a little bit of that tint that's not just gray. That is indicative of a little bit of hail. It's not a huge sign. I mean, I have been in some destructive storms in Oklahoma that had 3 and 4 inch size hail, and it looked like you were visiting the Wizard of Oz, because the sky was literally emerald. But there's a little bit of that shade to it, and that's exactly where that hail would be. So interesting to pick that up from our Conway cam. Again, this is looking off towards the east in that severe thunderstorm there. Let's take a look at the camera in Winter Garden. And again, we're just to the west, but there's so much instability in the atmosphere. You can see these clouds have a bit of vertical development. No rain right now. There's been a heck of a lot of thunder, this far north in the Orlando area out towards the west. But again, very interesting shot there from Winter Garden. An opportunity, of course, that some of these storms could try and backbuild. Now, I do think that the better chance of these storms and what they're going to do is they're going to ultimately work their way off towards the east. But, could there be some stronger storms that redevelop? Yeah, it's a possibility this far west. But more than likely, we're just going to get some neat clouds here in the Winter Garden area. Okay, back over to the weather computer. I was definitely doing the definition of trying to do two things at once, talk and then reset the radar. And again, we're all good here, but I just want to see if we can get our estimated hail size product to come back on for us here. And sometimes it's not even the weather computer, it's just the connection with the Melbourne radar. So let's see if this estimated hail size pops back on. Okay, it does. So right here, right over Avalon Park. There you go. Again, Sherry, you're not a liar. And I'm sorry. First of all, Sherry, I hope you didn't get any kind of damage. Let me know. But again, it's come down a little bit, but we're still looking at potentially nickel-sized hail. Now, this hail core has come down a bit, which is good news as we head towards Wedgefield and towards the beach line. All right. Here's the hail core, a couple of them to watch out for right over, again, the Oak Ridge, Sky Lake, Pine Castle area. My computer right now is not picking up that. Did they bring it back down to an inch? Okay, they did. Thank gosh. You know, again, that severe thunderstorm warning was for 1.5-inch size hail, and now they've turned it back down to inch size hail. That's good. Look, inch size hail can still cause some damage, but we're not talking about ping pongs. And then right up 417 here too. Maybe some inch hail there, and that would be just northwest of Meadowwoods, north of Hunters Creek, and just south of the beach line there. Turnpike, 441, 92. Potentially a little bit of hail up here towards Maitland. Very small, but a little sliver there. So again, these are any areas where the computer's picking up some hail. Interesting that this little storm on 33 is actually pulsing up with a little bit of hail. This is in southern Lake County. So there you go. All right. Go back over to the reflectivity. That's the velocity. There's the reflectivity. So let's talk about what's happening right now. You know, how these storms are evolving as we hit 6 o'clock, because now we're going to have some of the severe thunderstorm warnings and special weather statements go away. We'll see what's being replaced and what's not. So first of all, good to see you guys here at the 6 o'clock hour. Thanks for taking a quick second, hitting that like button. Thank you for subscribing to CFLW. I appreciate all those who are tuning in. It is a rowdy late Wednesday afternoon into the early evening hours here in the Metro Orlando area and across a lot of Central Florida as well. So we've had some pretty active storms today developing in Sanford, working their way off to the east. Still a ton of lightning associated with this storm. Now there is a special weather statement, and at least this part of the storm is trying to make its way closer to the coast. I don't think all the storms are going to, but this part here that kind of detached itself from the hail core has spread more east than anything. So let's take a look at the new special weather statement for this area. It is going to be for a strong thunderstorm in east central Seminole and northwest Brevard. Also, portions of southeast Volusia County until 6:30. We've got ourselves a strong thunderstorm 7 miles southwest of Scottsmore, moving southeast at 50 to 55 mile-an-hour winds, and some penny-sized hail. Both of these are just below severe thunderstorm criteria. So this is a very high-end special weather statement. Look, friends, if we get 55 mile-an-hour winds out of this, this is going to knock down some tree limbs. This is going to potentially cause some power problems. Certainly going to knock around some of the trash bins that are left empty and you haven't brought them back inside yet. If it was trash day, you have light unsecured objects in your yard. Those could be tossed around easily with 55 mile-an-hour winds as well. I'll put on the wind gusts here too. Keep an eye out for those. So that's the new special weather statement detached from our severe thunderstorm warning, which continues for the next 13 minutes. Now, again, you've got this part of the storm, which is moving right over Avalon Park as we speak. It's weakening, but there could probably still be some small size hail and a heck of a lot of heavy rain. Notice there's no lightning out of any of this though. So Alafaya, University Park, Avalon Park, Bithlo, no lightning at this point in time, but you know, we've had some hail reported out of that. We have our severe thunderstorm warning for the next 13 minutes. We'll see as we get towards 6:15 whether the Weather Service wants to continue that severe thunderstorm warning. Now we still have what looks like two different severe thunderstorm warnings, but really all this is a differentiation in the hail size, okay? So let's see if we can get the latest one. The latest one should pop up here. This was at 5:57, so yeah, this is gonna be the latest one from the Weather Service office in Melbourne. So let's see what we got here. We've got severe thunderstorm over Orla Vista or Oak Ridge moving east at 10, 60s and quarters. So we're still looking at inch-size hail with that quarters. Hail damage to vehicles is expected. Roof, sidings, and trees. Orlando, Windermere, Conway, Oak Ridge, and Pine Hills all included in that severe thunderstorm warning. Goes until 6:30. This is bracketed by a little bit larger special weather statement, which gets back towards Hamlin in the 429. And the thunderstorm here with our special weather statement that includes Kissimmee, Campbell, Celebration, Four Corners, has really weakened relatively quickly. So the good news is as that hail core and heavy rain tracked along 192 towards Celebration, right across I-4, it did begin to dissipate. Now, of course, friends, at the bottom of your screen, we've got live conditions across all of Central Florida scrolling at the bottom of your screen so you get updates near or where you live. 30 mile-an-hour wind in DeLand, 33, still some breezy conditions up in Volusia County and in the DeLand area, interior sections. But again, these storms are kind of slowly moving south and east. Now, what that means is the southern sides of Metro Orlando still in store for a rowdy 6 o'clock hour here, right? If you live anywhere within this red polygon, get prepared. Metro West, Orla Vista, Edgewood, Pine Castle, Belle Isle. Let's put this into motion for you guys. Again, general movement with these storms is going to be east to southeast. I do expect there to be picking up a little bit more of an east progression out of this. There will be some drop to the south, right? But even this storm in Avalon, you notice that it really hasn't moved much farther south in the last half hour. If anything, again, if you look up to the north, I've got my I got my mouse on like super speed mode. You can see the east push here. There's a lot of lightning with that as well. By the way, if you live in Volusia County, cross I-95, it may not be severe, but that's where all the lightning is right now. You know, dripping across. It's too far. Yeah, Sam Sewell is to the north, but Oak Hill, Edgewater, again, that's where the special weather statement is too. Lightning has nothing to do with a special weather statement or severe thunderstorm warning. That one is just being accompanied by a heck of a lot of lightning, whereas this severe thunderstorm warning basically has no lightning associated with it. Okay, Sherry said the hail didn't get any bigger and went for about a minute and a half, probably no damage, but it's pouring now and the wind is blowing hard. Appreciate you, Sherry. Thanks for letting me know. And again, Sherry is there at Avalon Park, Colonial and Avalon Park Boulevard. So appreciate Sherry with that update. Grab another swig. I'll switch over to the vitamin water. Again, I didn't even have time to get my Lean Law tumbler prepared and ready to go. So I'm sipping on various things that aren't my Publix Diet green tea. But you can see that the Weather Service here had 1.5 inch size hail, and they said, okay, maybe not that big, but inches still big enough to cause damage. And that's going to be our most intense storm right now. It does look like the Avalon Park storm is weakening a bit. Again, Sherry's saying heavy rain, smaller hail there for a time. Hopefully all the hail is done as it's trying to get towards the beach line in the far western sides and northern sides of Wedgefield. The rain is picking up over the Bithlo area as well. Starting to see some clusters of thunderstorms developing in the south central sides of Orange County. There's MCO. And again, if we pause this right at the end, this little storm over MCO is actually picking up. My radar is picking up potentially some hail trying to develop near the airport. Not a great scenario, but it's an opportunity. It's a potential. And again, a little bit broader view for you guys. There's been a shield of heavy rain and storms north of us today, sneaking into the northern sides of Marion County. We've had some scattered showers, non-severe for Flagler County, Palm Coast, my friends in Beverly Beach, Flagler Beach, and Bunnell, and that has reached the coastline there. But, you know, whether this activity can get into Brevard County, we'll see. I think the best chance is probably not. Now, look, it's not like it's 8 o'clock. It's not like we're an hour away from losing the heat of the day and we're done. You know, but these storms are, you know, we'll see if there's additional outflow boundaries that they can propagate off of, you know, or whether we're beginning to rake this atmosphere a little bit more. But even out ahead of this activity right now, we are starting to see a little bit more in the way of a few storms intensifying a bit. So again, just going back out to reset things. Get the live radar sweep back on. Again, here at CFLW, if you guys just take a look, it's very clear to see the hazards associated with these storms. The red polygons are severe thunderstorm warnings. The yellow polygons are special weather statements. We never like to see the purple polygons because those are tornado warnings. We have none of those right now. You'll see your clear expiration time, the actual temperatures at the bottom of your screen next to the leanlaw.com logo. And again, they're the sponsors of the channel, and this is why they sponsor it. And I'm very pleased to say that Bobby Lean and the team at leanomelaw.com will be the sponsor of CFLW for the remainder of the year. And if you want to support someone who supports the channel and you get damage and you got a nasty situation with your insurance, they can walk you through that insurance claim process. You just want an advocate on your side when you're talking about a lot of money, you know, the kind of damage that we get to the homes and how expensive it is here in Florida. You can go to leanomelaw.com if you would like more information. They offer free consultation and policy review, so it's not going to cost you a dime to have that initial conversation with Bobby and the team. Appreciate them again being the exclusive sponsor of CFLW for the remainder of 2025. All right, back over to the chat. Everyone doing good, by the way? Again, in the comments section below, if you've had any damage or you've seen some of this intense weather like Sherry did, just let me know. I love to get that ground truth information. Again, this is why I'm doing this, so we can interact live. I can tell you guys exactly what's happening minute by minute. You have a specific question, we can jump in and look at that. If you guys want to let me know. So, you know, my radar can tell me a lot of things, but you guys being here can certainly tell me something else. Now, again, these storms are getting stronger here. They've just issued a special weather statement for the storm over MCO, and it's pulsing up. Now, if you notice that that triangle has become a 1, that's another indication that there is a larger hail potential right over the airport. So it's not going to shock me if there's what's called an airport weather warning in effect as we speak. We'll see. But the potential for arrivals and departures to be impacted by these storms is going up by the minute there at MCO. So the severe thunderstorm warning goes until 6:10. The new special weather statement goes all the way until 7 o'clock. Again, these storms, they're not moving much. Let me give you the newer special weather statement with this one, guys. This one, again, just issued right now. Strong thunderstorm, south central Orange, north central Osceola through 7 o'clock. Winds of 50 and half-inch size hail. Gusty winds can knock down tree limbs, blow around unsecured objects, minor hail damage to vegetation. Orlando, Kissimmee, OIA, Buenaventura Lakes, East Lake Toho areas that could all be impacted by this developing storm. And it's not really, you know, moving much. This storm is basically just developing off of the leading edge of that severe thunderstorm warning. By the way, this is like a mess out here right now with all these warnings and all this radar data. So southeast at 6, but really just kind of developing right now. And again, movement 145 degrees on your compass. Sorry about that. Looks like we got still some hail here near the Edgewood area. If nothing else, extremely heavy rain. Now this is over towards Conway, so this is towards our camera. Now the camera's looking east, so if this makes it over our camera, I'll switch over there. Now it's good to see in the last pass from the Weather Service radar that we lost that fuchsia, or that blue, excuse me, and only have fuchsia. But that is still some pretty intense, you know, rainfall if nothing else. And we're back up to a 24-mile-an-hour wind. Again, if you're just tuning in, the executive airport in downtown Orlando reported a 66-mile-an-hour wind, but it would have been a non-thunderstorm wind gust because there was no heavy activity when it did. Could have been a heat burst or a downburst of some kind. We'll be curious to see if it actually verifies. Sanford's airport did have a severe thunderstorm wind gust of 61 miles an hour earlier as well. Get back over to the chat. Oops, and I just reset my own stream. Only on my thing. I went to make sure I had all chat on. So is it Gelson? What weather radar are you using? So this is the live radar out of Melbourne. I have access to all of the NextRad sites here in the United States. We can look at them individually. We can look at them as a composite. So happy to bring you guys that. So this particular radar that we're looking at to analyze things is coming out of the National Weather Service office out of, it probably was a gust front, Mike, and we saw that on the radar. This is what it is right here. Yep. You know, but again, you know, could there have been a little bit of mixing of mid-level winds? Because to go from nothing to 66, that's a heck of a gust front. Sometimes you get some drier air at about 2,000 or 3,000 feet that can mix in and come down with that gust front. There had to be some kind of extra oomph, if you will, to go along with it. But I do agree that it was a gust front. But the biggest thing is just, is it going to verify at 66? Absolutely a gust front. Just, did we really get a 66? Maryland says thunder ramping up in the Conway area. So Maryland is near that camera. And again, if you guys are just tuning in right now, we got some pretty nasty storms in the metro Orlando area. This has been a smattering of heavy rain and storms and some hail, you know, anywhere from the south side of the downtown Orlando area, but Orla Vista, Metro West, the Millennia areas. Again, it's heavy rain for I-4. It's a horrible time for that. Very heavy rainfall picking up right now, Delaney Park towards Conway and Edgewood. And then the most intense storm is right over the airport. Again, you see this green triangle, my weather computer is picking up the opportunity for some hail developing out of that. And that severe thunderstorm warning does include inch-size hail. Now, this is a special weather statement here for half-inch size hail. What we really want is we don't want to see these hail sizes get up to about an inch, because that's when you start getting into the potentially destructive hail category. When you get quarter-size hail, that can cause damage to roofs, that can put some pings in cars. We want to stay underneath that for the most part, but winds will be a factor as well. And again, storms are covered up right now. I'll put this into motion just over the last half hour for you guys. And really more than anything, you're going to see that a lot of this activity has really begun to kind of conglomerate together. That's good and bad. It's good because as these storms begin to merge, we could potentially see the higher end intensity come down, but when they merge and they come together, that could flare up a new thunderstorm off a new outflow boundary, and then that storm could pulse up. And we're starting to see that actually from MCO. You mentioned this gust front, Mike, there it is coming through. And behind that gust front, we're building up that storm over MCO and Lake Nona. So southeast Metro Orlando, Meadow Woods, Medical City, Lake Nona, Narcoossee areas, south of Lee Vista Boulevard, right over, Cimarron on over towards the beach line. That's a good thunderstorm that's developing right now. And you notice that the lightning is picking up a bit too. It's indicative again of a developing emerging thunderstorm getting stronger and stronger. A lot of yellows and reds on this map for today, friends, indicative of, again, several areas of very intense weather for today. Let's go back over to our cameras. Never like to, in this scenario, be too far away from these cameras. There's Conway. So here's what, thank you, Mike, OSC Orpho 5 spotter. Appreciate it. So Mike is a trained storm spotter. And, again, another line of defense, if you will, to get verified information. So appreciate it, Mike. So Marilyn was talking about thunder ramping up in Conway. Here you go, guys. So again, here comes that leading kind of shelf cloud of the next storm, right? We're looking east, so we're going to actually see the weather kind of just go downhill as this moves across the lake. The rain is beginning to pick up, and we'll see if anything else, happens here. Right now, there's not a lot of wind associated with what they're seeing here, but this camera is just a little bit east of that area. If you see some flashes, that's obviously going to be the lightning, but certainly a intensifying storm coming over this Conway cam as we speak. Take a quick second and just watch this for a bit. You got it, Mike. Thanks for taking the time to become a trained spotter. Trained spotters send out information to the Weather Service offices. They relay it to the public. Just get, better information that way. And if you guys want to become a trained spotter, you can go to the National Weather Service office Melbourne website and find out how to do so. They have training courses all the time in various locations across Central Florida. Again, your live conditions across all cities here in Central Florida, or a vast majority of them. Scrolling at the bottom of his screen. West Coast looking pretty good for today. St. Pete, sunny and 86. Even Spring Hill looks nice right now at 87 degrees. Guess what? Metro Orlando is rain cooled back into the 70s in most spots. But again, going to keep on an eye on that. If you look at the dock there on that camera, you can see the rain is beginning to pick up a bit. And even in the foreground there, we're beginning to pick up some heavier rain and going to get some thunderstorm activity there. Back over to Winter Garden. Again, it's interesting because, again, this camera is well away, and I'm going to take off. Okay, you probably lost my mic when I took off all of that. I can do it individually too, but I just wanted you guys to see. All right, well, give me 1 second here. I wanted to take off the bottom, but it's all in pieces. And so that would be too much. But if you guys just look at the bottom of your screen here for the winter garden camera, you can see a few showers developing. There's actually a pulsing up shower over the Claremont area in Lake County. And that's what you're seeing right now. And I believe my name will go away here in just a second. If it doesn't, I can take it off myself, but it should pop off here momentarily. All right, let me take off my name. There you go. Oh, nice little lightning strike there. Did you guys see that? So again, that's why I wanted to kind of point out is that from this camera, there's a few thunderstorms developing back into Lake County. And that's what we're seeing right now. Nice little pulse up of a thunderstorm if you live in Claremont across 27, or taking State Road 50 back out in the central sides of Lake County. So that's what that camera is looking at as we speak. Back over to the Conway cam. Again, the rain is picking up in intensity there. Bit of lightning, again, a little bit of a darker sky on the northeast side of that camera, as you can see there. But again, look, these storms are still going pretty strong here in the Metro Orlando area. So let's go back over to the live radar. Jump back on camera for you guys. And again, appreciate you tuning in. Thanks for taking a quick second, hitting the like button and subscribing to the channel as well. So let's reset this scenario here with what's happening right now. All right. So the severe thunderstorm warning that was in effect for the Avalon Park area has been allowed to expire. That storm was coming down in intensity. That's good news. Now, we still had some hail over the Avalon UCF areas, but hopefully not destructive hail. And now we're starting to see that hail size come down a bit. And so we don't have the severe thunderstorm. Remember, the only criteria for a severe thunderstorm warning is going to be winds of 60 miles an hour at least and or inch size hail. So anything below that, you get special weather statements. And again, lightning and rainfall rates have nothing to do with special weather statements and severe thunderstorm warnings. The only criteria are going to be hail size and wind gusts. So here you go. MCO right over the beach line. When you see those pulsing colors on my radar, that is high reflectivity. It's indicative of extremely heavy rain and or some hail out of that. Let's take a look and see here. Hopefully this is still holding together as far as my product here. Yeah, don't see it again. For some reason this product likes to work once and then it goes away, but I'll keep an eye on it. But if there is some hail right now, there is an opportunity. It could be right over MCO, all right? Maybe some pea-sized hail or small hail, but even my weather computer here is picking up to an inch size hail. So that's a nasty storm right over MCO. The heavier rain is building right over Lake Nona as we speak. So here's the 417, which swings south and east of MCO, and then obviously you got the big intersection towards the beach line, and then back into the southern sides of places like Cimarron and OBT and JYP and places like that. And again, a lot of special weather statements. New special weather statement now on the north side of this. This is the Conway, Azalea Park area, Baldwin Park, downtown Orlando. I mean, literally, just south of Altamont Springs, in the Metro Orlando area, you're either under a special weather statement or severe thunderstorm warning. Looks like some kind of interesting design. You've got the red polygon in the middle and then the three kind of making some fan shape around it. So, it could be a new logo for a company there. Special weather statement still continues for the northern sides of Brevard. Now look, there's some heavier rain in Mims and Titusville at the hour, but it doesn't appear to be much more than that. There's actually not a lot of lightning associated with that southern flank of that storm. All of the lightning was actually up here, and it actually went away fairly quickly. There was a lot of lightning that was moving to I-95 when you got up towards Edgewater and New Smyrna, but a lot of that has dissipated relatively quickly right now. So the storms that are kind of south building are the ones that are holding together more. Still a little bit of a lightning over the Oviedo area, but again, right back here, Azalea Park, downtown Orlando, Delaney Park, Fairview Shores, Winter Park, Eatonville, areas that are under a new special weather statement that does go until 6:45. So this is that one. Now again, what's the difference with this one? This one's actually moving back north and east. Slow, erratic movement. There's not a lot of mid-level and upper-level wind support here, guys. So when we get these sea breeze storms developing, and then they come off of old outflow boundaries, and you can really get slow, erratic movement, where we've had east, we've had south, and now we've had northeast movement to some of this activity. All right. Still a general overall easterly push, but it's been kind of all over the place and can be expected when you don't have a lot of prevailing low-level winds. This is what I was talking about back out into Lake County that we saw from the Winter Garden camera. Developing emerging storm here in Mineola, Claremont, and Groveland, just south of Mascot. I'll be monitoring that. It's nothing significant. We had a little bit of lightning when we saw that live as well. Improving conditions over Lake Buena Vista, so that's good for the attractions area, Universal, SeaWorld, Disney, Epcot areas, Celebration included in that. Kissimmee's looking better as well. So MCO just reported a 41-mile-an-hour wind gust. So this special weather statement absolutely verifies. We now have a 41-mile-an-hour wind gust there. And again, a lot of heavy rain. Not a ton of lightning, but the heavy rainfall and the opportunity for some pretty good size hail being produced out of this. Thank you, Mike Northern Kissimmee. You got it. Hey, Amy, appreciate you saying that. Hey, Grifter, appreciate you, man. Thanks for subbing. And again, if you guys are here, thanks for doing that. Farrah, thank you for giving them the nudge as well. Appreciate all of those who are big supporters of the channel. A lot of you guys, I see a lot. It's always great to see fresh faces, fresh people in the chat. First of all, a lot more of you are watching than who are chatting, which is fine. But this is why we do this. You guys can interact with each other. You guys can interact with me in real time. I can keep you updated with the weather, but if you have a specific question about the forecast, you can let me know. If there is something you want to let everyone know about, right? To get these reports from you guys in real time is not only beneficial to me, but for a lot of other people as well. And this storm in Lake County is going up. Let's take a look at that puppy. Again, we got a camera on that one right now. There it is from the Winter Garden camera. I'm going to take my microphone off because I just want to take everything off screen. So you're not going to hear me, but let's just all watch this storm together for about 30 seconds. Yeah, pretty cool shot there, guys. That again is from our Winter Garden camera in Western Orange County. You can almost see the perturbations of the clouds, the instability, and everything just kind of, got all this, texture to the clouds out here that's kind of streaming back into the western sides of Orange County. And again, that storm way out there in central Lake County, but we can pick it up from that perspective. Let's go back over to the Conway cam. Got some good rain there in Conway, but there's a lightning strike right there. That's why you saw the camera glitch a little bit, but nothing outrageous in Conway. Good thunderstorm, no hail. It looks like the Conway area did okay. But again, accompanying with these storms, a lot of lightning. When thunder roars, you get indoors. You know the situation here in Central Florida. That's how we do's it. Flox Giants, good to see you. Thanks for joining in. How is Lake Mary going for the rest of the night? Lake Mary certainly has the opportunity to see a thunderstorm kind of redevelop over the area, but probably staying just a little bit north and west of everything. So here's Sanford, here's Lake Mary. We've dried out a little bit here. Still a decent gust in Sanford. Just like we're seeing in Lake County. Could there be a storm that develops farther north towards Mount Dora and makes a run towards Lake County? Lake Mary, it's absolutely possible. You can see that there's a couple of different storms developing west of the initial line. So I don't want to say you're completely in the clear, but it's going to be a lot more spotty these next storms that might try and get going, and if they make it that far east. So generally speaking, Flox Giant, I would expect you guys to be quiet, but I'll be monitoring it. Certainly in the short term, everything that's happening south of you is moving away from you at this point in time. You got hammered earlier around 4:30, but it's been a little bit quieter then. But I appreciate the question. Thank you very much for that. So again, this severe thunderstorm warning for the MCO area goes for the next 2 minutes till 6:30. It is bracketed by 3 different special weather statements, and potentially the next strong to severe storm is developing as we speak in Lake County, Mascot on over towards the Claremont area. Give me just 1 second here. The wife is home, and so I made a diet green tea order, and I specifically asked for the Lean Law tumbler as well. So that way I can keep my throat moist. Do a lot of talking this time of the year. It can go south fast. Special weather statement, Volusia, Brevard County, northern side, Mims, Titusville. Again, good heavy rain, nothing significant. Couple of lightning strikes, that's it. That one's going to go away here at 6:30. I don't expect this one to be re-upped. I mean, they would probably have to see what's happening in Titusville pulse back up again. I say that, and the next thing you know, you're going to get that. But by the way, this gust front is still being tracked on the radar. That is the gust front, okay? So fresh winds could be accompanying this gust front. Port St. John sharps on over towards Cocoa, leading edge of that, right? You know, MCO had a 43-mile-an-hour wind. So there could be some gusty winds, and storms are developing behind that gust front. Okay, so there could be a little bit more propagation east along the beach line with this. So we're going to lose 2 more severe thunderstorm warning and a special weather statement here at the top of the hour. And magically, I have my Lean Law tumbler with my Publix Diet Green Tea. It's magic. Thank you. Welcome. Let's get the thumbs up in the chat for the wife and the Diet Green Tea. Both are exceptional. All right, again, so as I've mentioned, when these storms cluster together like this, sometimes they can pulse up, produce new outflow boundaries, and really intensify. Sometimes when they merge together, they kind of negate themselves, right? You might get a spreading out of this storm, but it loses some of its higher end intensity. And it appears that is what happened with the southern flank of this special weather statement and the northern flank of the thunderstorm over MCO. Now look, this is still a good thunderstorm. 43-mile-an-hour wind gusts at MCO, still reporting a little bit of hail out of this, maybe up to a half-inch in size. Again, we can handle half-inch size hail, you know, up to penny-size hail. It's annoying, but it typically doesn't cause any damage to structures or your cars. But we've kind of lost a little bit of intensity. So right now, we do not have a severe thunderstorm warning with this activity. Still 40 to 50 mile-an-hour winds, half-inch size hail. And again, 43 reported here at MCO, and that was not that long ago. That was at 6:18. As I suspected, the special weather statement has been allowed to expire in the northern sides of Brevard County, so Mims and Titusville. In those spots, we still have some rain here in the southwest side of Orange County, but that is beginning to fall apart a bit as well. And the next most active thunderstorm is back into Lake County, and it has really pulsed up. Now, this is pretty rural areas when you get south of 50, and this is going to be 33 here, right? There is, you know, some homes, a couple of schools out here. I've traveled south of Groveland before, you know, so there are some communities out here, but it's not as heavily populated. But that being said, again, you know, this storm here is pulsing up in intensity a bit. Don't have a hail core on it right now, but we'll see how it goes. And this has been able to sneak into Claremont and towards Mineola. Still more moderate rain over those spots, but just kind of, that's like the next big storm. Dade City has a bit of a storm. Polk City has a bit of a storm. Auburndale, Winter Haven areas had a 22-mile-an-hour wind. Nothing outrageous, but more rain for the I-4 corridor. And then again, a few more building storms up here into the Ocala National Forest. So far eastern sides of Marion County, and then the far northern sides of Lake County, Astor and Pearson. Still have that 33-mile-an-hour wind in DeLand. That was a while ago, though. That was at 4:55. No time in the recent, but that was kind of as that storm developed here. Now, again, if you just tuned in, the Sanford Airport reported a 61-mile-an-hour wind gust. The Executive Airport in downtown Orlando had a gust front wind of 66, right? Non-thunderstorm wind gust of 66. Just going back to the chat. Again, you guys have a specific question, please feel free to let me know in the comments section below. Got to be honest, I'm a little surprised not a severe thunderstorm warning, but it's close. So special weather statement now in effect for the storm in Lake County. We've been monitoring together here for like the last 15 minutes, and we'll just watch it really pulse up. This is going to go until 7:15, so 50.5-inch size hail. Here we go. Doppler radar, strong thunderstorm, over Groveland, moving northeast at 20, picking up a little bit of forward speed, wind gusts of 50.5-inch size hail. So Groveland, Mascot, Ferndale, Claremont, Lake Louisa, all could be impacted by this. Could this skirt over the western sides of Lake Apopka? Absolutely. So northeast at 20. Interesting. Well, let's do a storm track on that. I'll do it from the leading edge. Kind of round it out like this. If it is really moving northeast at 20. So there you go. I've got Montverde at 644 based on that, but could it get close to Apopka in Wekiva Springs and over 441 in Mount Dora? It's a possibility, right? Again, Montverde relatively quickly, and my track does have it going over Lake Apopka, and you can see it's building. Like it continues to build. Now that's my own manual track from the actual hail core, and again, half-inch size hail associated with it, and I think it's there. I think between Groveland and Claremont right now on State Road 50, we've got some half-inch size hail. So this is what my computer has. It's virtually the same. It has it a little bit farther south, but we've got Claremont 638. So if you live in Claremont, that's a very big area of Lake County. A lot of population in Claremont. Make sure you're prepared for the opportunity for some heavy rain, a lot of lightning, and the possibility of some half-inch size hail. Right now, again, that's not destructive hail, but don't get caught off guard. 638, Mineola 642, and then Montverde in at 659 as you get towards the western sides of Lake Apopka. So that's the newest, strongest storm that we have in the area. Now back over here, this one is still going gangbusters over MCO and Lake Nona. Okay, we got the hail size product to come back on. So over Lake Nona, beautiful area, heavily populated, fantastic homes. Again, half-inch size hail. That's penny-sized hail. We can handle it. We don't want it to get any higher than that. But if you live in the Lake Nona area, you have the opportunity to see pea to penny-sized hail. It's about the same situation that they had in Avalon as well. And again, let's see if my hail tracker is picking up some hail here, and it is. So Groveland, half-inch size hail right across 50, and maybe some smaller size hail between 19 and 27, just kind of north and west of Claremont right now. Hopefully, whatever hail core this is, and that's kind of the track of it right now, building north into the east, doesn't actually get over downtown Claremont. But that's why we have that special weather statement. And again, if you guys are here, appreciate you joining me. Thanks for joining the CFLW community. Fantastic community. I appreciate you guys. We'd love to hear from you. If nothing else, thanks for taking a quick second, hitting the like button on the channel. That's the thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, that's the subscribe button. Both of those help the channel out more than you think, because the more you interact, the more we chat, the more you like, the more you subscribe, YouTube then suggests this channel to people who don't even know we exist. Another way you could, of course, support is to share this with your family and friends. Let them know that we're out here covering these storms for you guys live on this Wednesday early evening now as we hit 6:36. Again, we've had really active weather here in the metro Orlando area today. We're watching a few storms developing near Tampa, but they never really got going. So special weather statements are still in effect for downtown Orlando, the Winter Park area. Heavy rain over places like Maitland, my friends in Eatonville, Goldenrod, Baldwin Park, another beautiful area. Union Park, there's the Executive Airport, 24-mile-an-hour wind gusts. But again, earlier, as these storms began to get going and that gust front came through, it reported 66. Was certainly a gust front wind. Just curious to see if that's going to verify as the actual number. 43-mile-an-hour wind gusts at MCO. A lot of thunderstorms causing probably an airport delay there with departures and arrivals. Lake Nona down towards Medical City. That special weather statement goes for the next 22 minutes. Some light rain over portions of Brevard County. There's your gust front right now. So if you live in places like Sharps and Cocoa, you're going to probably get a bit of a breeze out of that. Lighter showers continue to kind of flare up from time to time, but nothing too significant. Even the rain that was over eastern sides of Marion and northern sides of Lake County has come back down a little bit in intensity. And again, it's been more of a shield of rain, but some intense activity from time to time in the northern third of the peninsula. St. Augustine actually had a flood warning associated with some of the heavier rain. There's been just enough movement to all this activity where at last check, and any flood advisory would still come on the weather computer here. I'm just triple checking with the weather service, but yeah, there's no flood advisories at this point in time. Could there still be pockets of 2-3 inches of rain? Absolutely. Could there still be some low-lying flooding, low-lying areas with a little bit of floodwaters? Absolutely. Probably not in very widespread areas, but ponding on the roadways and things like that are absolutely still possible. This is the loop over just the last half hour. Again, there's a bit of an east movement to all of this activity. We do have a little bit of a pull slip of that thunderstorm over Polk City and Haines City as well. Again, you guys have a specific question, let me know in the comments section below. You just want to drop a high. Highs are nice too. Interactions are great. Let's go back over to our winter garden camera, because again, we can see that storm that's ramping up in Lake County. So there it is. Again, I'm going to take myself off screen. I don't think there's any good way to do it here. All right, and you guys can still hear me, right? Yes. All right, so this works. I can do it this way. That's a little bit easier. So that's that storm in Lake County. Again, you look at the horizon. There it is. It's a little bit harder to see now. We had that nice little edge to the storm, just, behind that palm tree. A little bit more obscured view at this point in time, but still a nice shot. Still a lot of turbulence in the atmosphere. Again, you can clearly see that on the leading edge of some of these clouds. Just a lot of edges to them, and they're in all different directions. That thunderstorm, really, it's kind of a neat shot here. I can't draw on this. I wish I could, but you've almost got what looks like lift here, and then it's pushing out. Do you see how that cloud's going that way? That cloud's kind of going that way. Kind of this little mesoscale lift, and then hitting probably, a little bit of an inversion up here, and it's kind of pushing the clouds off. It's an ever-changing environment, and there's all different kinds of things going on, in Central Florida at one point in time, which is really why it's an interesting, place to live and a place to forecast for this time of the year, because there's a lot of different mechanisms in the atmosphere that are going off at the same time that are very localized in fashion. So on the weather ticker here. There it is. And again, we'll see if my name comes down. It should automatically disappear in like 10 seconds. Okay, I'll do it manually. Back over to the live radar. Let's check out Conway real quick first. Give it a little bit of glint of sun there in the Conway area now if you look off towards the east. All right, so back over to the weather computer. And let's reset this shot. Nasty day, by the way, at I-95, like mid-Atlantic states, they got hammered. So we still have the 43 at MCO, but these storms are becoming a little less aggressive. Now look, there's still a core here right over Lake Nona that's intense, but certainly doesn't look like what we had earlier. Winter Park, by the way, nice little freshening up of your rainfall. Maitland, Fairview Shores, Eatonville, Baldwin Park as well. Just good, solid rain over Winter Park. That's going to keep the sprinklers off for the next few days again. By the way, keep that in mind. You get some of this rain, save some water bill. Make sure those sprinklers are off. I mean, had a lot of rain in the neighborhood that I live in lately, and I can't tell you how many times I still see the sprinklers running. First of all, at times of the day it shouldn't be running, but secondly, they shouldn't be running at all. So, friendly reminder, cut down on the water bill, cut down on the reuse of the water. You can take those sprinklers off in a lot of spots. Could even be a little bit of hail here right over Lake Nona. Again, if anyone lives in the Lake Nona area, let me know. Kelly says possible for advice activity. Oh, are we talking about the Nodo or the Sodo? Oh, I remember that one. Yeah, I mean, if you guys want to let me know. Again, I was chastised by my wife for not knowing what Sodo was, like heavily chastised. So I apologize. But yes, if you live south of downtown Orlando, please, you may let us know because you are a Sodo, or you could be a Nodo that you live north of downtown Orlando. North of downtown Orlando. So Nodo. If you live west, you could be a Wodo or an Eodo. But I don't think we even had a Eodo or even how to pronounce that. But that was a funny conversation when someone said they lived in Sodo, and I was like, where is that? And no tornado activity? Did I miss an earlier question from her? At this point in time, I'm not expecting any tornadic activity here. No, there's just not that kind of instability or turn in the atmosphere today. These are just good thunderstorms that propagated off of our sea breezes this time of the year, but also had aid from a lot of mid-level energy support. And so they got going fast. Now, it's nice to see that even before we get to that 8 o'clock hour, that these thunderstorms are beginning to come back down a bit. Again, we're clearing out in Sanford. We're clearing out in Altamont Springs. This special weather statement is going to be allowed to expire here momentarily as well. So, as we push deeper into the 6 o'clock hour, improving conditions overall. It's a nasty storm over Lake County, over Claremont. Again, there is a hail core associated with that. It is moving up to Mineola. It's moving up to 27. It's going to continue to, move across the turnpike. By the way, again, you want to talk about driving the turnpike, it's bad enough in Lake County with all the construction, but now you're going to have this blinding rain and potential hail go over it. Not a fun situation there for sure. And again, that special weather statement does go until 7:15. We do have a few more thunderstorms to mention, Dade City and portions of Polk County towards Haines City, but those are very isolated in nature. And, again, we've got this shower activity get to the East Coast, and they've just died, gone. Mims, Titusville, just done. Light showers, if nothing else. So certainly improving here through the 6 o'clock hour. Yeah, David said bone dry in Edgewater, back Remy to the west. It still can happen that way, man. I appreciate David coming in the chat and let us know. Yeah, not everyone's going to get it. You know what I mean? Living in Edgewater, real close to all this activity, and then watching it go away. It's absolutely, kind of the hit and miss scenario. Now, there's been a lot more hit than miss in the Metro Orlando area or other areas as well here. But again, just depending on where you are up and down the coast. So here's Edgewater, where David is right now. Saw some of that coming in, and then the black band to the west, but nothing else. So that all kind of just began to fade as it hit I-95. But I appreciate David jumping in and letting us know. Fair as a no-do. Gotcha. All right. Lightning counts going up with this storm too. So just an intensifying cell. Groveland, Claremont, Mineola, Lake County. Special weather statement for the next 28 minutes here. Here is the summary of that storm moving northeast at 20. Half-inch size hail, 50-mile-an-hour winds, Groveland, Claremont, Mascot, Ferndale, and the Lake Louisa areas. Eventually, this could skirt over the western sides of Lake Apopka as well. Special weather statement here for the southeast side of Orange County, kind of slipping into the northern sides of Osceola County, goes for the next 13 minutes. This is what this one looks like for you guys here. And again, this one was issued at 6:08. It went for nearly a full hour. That's a really long duration for this special weather statement, but winds of 50 and half-inch size hail. And again, Orlando, Kissimmee, OIA, Buenaventura Lakes, East Lake Toho. Movement there is southeast at 5. Now, I have a summary here from my computer that has it southeast at 6, but very, very little movement with this particular cell. Still a good chunk here, right? The 43 at MCO was near the top of the hour, I believe. Should be able to query it now. Yeah, 6:18. So it was a half hour ago. So based off of that, would they reissue another special weather statement? It's probably like 40-60 yes. So 60-40 no. I don't think that what we're seeing here, while it's intense over Lake Nona, is probably worthy of a special weather statement. It's raining itself out a little bit. And again, here is your gust front. This is what produced the 66 mile an hour wind, if it verifies, in downtown Orlando as these storms started going up. And again, Sanford had a thunderstorm wind gust of 61 earlier. This is why I jumped on. I was watching these storms and it took a snap of the finger for them to really get pulsed up as we hit the 5 o'clock hour. We got some dodos, we got some sodos in the house. I'm a wodo. Again, that would be the easiest thing, right? We don't need to know exactly where you live. You could just go off of your location compared to downtown Orlando. That could work. Again, interesting shot here. It's that, and then that. Might have to lower this camera. I don't know. I like this shot because when you get these storms developing much closer to the camera, you get this really nice high definition look here at them. But our lower third bar is over the horizon, and so you don't see the storms developing. Now again, this storm is getting no closer to this camera. It's moving more north than anything and will be going out of frame, but you had the idea of this storm developing in Lake County. But the fact that we can pick it up from our camera here in the far western sides of Orange County, it's a cool thing. Good to be able to see all of that. Just got to take my name bar off right away. And we'll go back over here. So a lot of you have been asking what it looks like the remainder of the day. I think the easiest thing to do while the intensity of these storms is coming down a little bit, still want to monitor it here for a bit, is to jump over to the model. So I'm going to bring up the HRRR model. It is the high resolution rapid refresh. It's a fantastic short-term model. We'll pick it up at 8 o'clock. Hopefully we'll pick it up at 8 o'clock. See if we can get it to loop up here. There we go. So we can talk about real quick the remainder of today and tomorrow. And again, this is why I do CFLW the show. I came on at 7 o'clock yesterday. It was a little bit of an unusual time, but I wanted to kind of set up for what I thought was a little bit more of an active period for us here. Now, pulsing up severe storms the next couple of days, it's not out of the question, right? More activity overall, not out of the question. We're just going to have a little bit more of an enhancement. So, this is the HRRR model today at 8 o'clock. So between now and 8 o'clock, it basically has most of the activity here in Central Florida diminishing. Still kind of has a swath of heavier rain, and some of this could sneak into Marion County, even back down towards Ocala and Silver Springs. So it's not out of the question there. Now, as we go over time, here's 9 o'clock. You can see that the HRRR model says, we might not be completely done tonight. All right. We'll see if that verifies. I believe, if nothing else, any activity that tries to reemerge in that 9 or 10 o'clock time frame will do so in a non-severe fashion. This would be scattered downpours and some lightning. Could be noisy, right? Could be watching your favorite show at 9 and 10 o'clock and you hear a rumble of thunder outside, but more than likely this is not going to be organized severe storms if they do redevelop, right? Staying below that kind of criteria. But could this again move back over Metro Orlando or Volusia or Flagler counties? It's a possibility. Then as we go overnight, obviously we're quieting down. Now, as we go through the day tomorrow, we're going to start to see a few storms pulse up again, 3, 4, 5 o'clock. And then as we get to 6 and 7, maybe a little bit more. Now, tomorrow, the slightly better chance for a few more storms could be a little bit farther south and east, right? Maybe not as much coverage in the Metro Orlando area, which is fine. We could take a break, potentially Brevard County and south. And you notice how the HRRR model really favors south of our area, and then potentially closer to sunset tomorrow night, we get a few more storms back into Osceola, Polk County, Orange, Cibolo, Volusia, Brevard, right? Very erratic movement to everything. And part of the reason why, if I zoom out and I show you guys this, and I mentioned this earlier, but if you weren't joining me at the beginning, there is this mid-level trough that's kind of elongated over the Bahamas right now, but it's close enough into proximity for us where there's this axis of instability which is feeding into our sea breezes, and it's also causing there to be a lot of erratic movement to the storms overall. But it's not just us. Really, the Southeast is a very active part of the country right now. And I don't expect that to change very much. Between now and the weekend, we should continue to see overall rain and storm chances that are at least slightly higher than normal. Some days might be higher than others, but we should see some thunderstorms developing, each and every afternoon. That's not out of the ordinary in this time of the year, obviously, to get our sea breeze storms in the afternoon, but they're going to be amplified a bit, at least in the next couple of days, by that mid-level trough off to our east. So the intensity of the storms could get a little bit more. We'll see how it plays out. I'm going to keep you guys covered here, but that's kind of what I'm expecting. But again, in the short term, going back to the remainder of today, the HRRR model does try and redevelop a few showers and storms back over central Florida after sunset tonight. All right, wouldn't expect them to be of any consequence, but again, you're sitting there getting ready to go to bed, brushing your teeth, you hear a rumble of thunder. Don't be crazy, don't be shocked. It's not out of the question. All right, so we have a special weather statement here for the next 5 minutes. I fully expect this one to go away. I don't expect that one to continue. The strongest storm is going to continue to be over central Lake County here, Groveland, Mineola, on over towards Montverde. Right now, we're not picking up any hail. Product is working. We see the hail that was picked up here southwest of Groveland, but in the last couple of scans, the Weather Service office out of Melbourne has not picked it up there on that algorithm. Just taking a look at a couple of different things. So it does look like the intensity of that storm is coming down too. So that's all good news. So I think we've hit our peak here, right? And I think we're going to be coming down from here. Now, again, pretty intense over Lake County. Could this sneak into western Orange County? Could this skirt Lake Apopka and get back towards Apopka or Oakland or maybe Winter Garden, Decoy? It's a possibility. You notice as well, and this happens a lot too, we're now left over with this shield of light to moderate rain that just continues. You just get the overcast skies and the rain continues to fall. And that's what we're seeing here. So we're not dry from Maitland and Winter Park and Azalea Park and Conway and Oak Ridge back towards Dr. Phillips and Lake Buena Vista. It's not going to be a great, 7 to 8 o'clock time frame across Lake Buena Vista. There's still some pretty good rain. But again, this thunderstorm here is waning a bit as it tries to sneak towards East Lake Tahoe and Buenaventura Lakes and St. Cloud. And yes, there is a Lake Mary Jane east of 417 in Arcoosie. That's actually where some of the heaviest activity is. And again, this 43 was about 40 minutes ago. So the winds have come back down since then. Ferris says just getting some light rain here in Ormond. I'm with you on that as well. All right. Let's do one more cursory look here. Make sure I'm not missing anything. But I think we're looking pretty good. Okay. So does anyone have any specific question about the forecast? Again, just get prepared for the next few days and the next few afternoons where, there could be storms like this. It's not going to be an every afternoon event, but we now have old outflow boundaries that these storms could emerge off of. We still have some mid-level support. So the opportunity is there. Obviously I'll keep you guys situated. I'll get you guys covered with it. If there's a need to come on, whether it's me personally or we do, I do have the ability to stream our radar and our live cameras, on this channel. without me being on, so I might do that as well. It just depends on kind of the intensity and how these storms ramp up, but I'll keep you guys updated. There's no doubt about it. Friends, please remember that CFLW is sponsored by the Lean Law Firm of Central Florida. At the bottom of your screen, really important for a growing channel like this to have the support of someone like Bobby Lean and the team there at Lean Law. So appreciate them. Remember, they cover the entire state of Florida. They can walk you through every step of the insurance claim process. So if you do get storm damage out of what we're talking about here, hail damage, wind damage, if down the road we get a tropical system coming in, even if you've been in an auto accident, they can walk you through every step of the insurance claim process. You can go to leanomnilaw.com. That's the website at the bottom of your screen if you would like more information, and happy that Bobby Lean and the team at Lean Law are going to be the exclusive sponsors of CFLW for the remainder of the year. So friends, I appreciate you guys. I think we're going to go ahead and end the live stream right now. I think we're looking pretty good the remainder of the evening. I'll keep an eye on things. Obviously, if there's any reason to come back on, I certainly will. As we leave, thank you for all of those who watched. Thank you for all those who jumped in the comments and dropped in a hi or let me know what was happening. I really do appreciate you guys. You're the lifeblood of this channel. To be able to have this interaction really means a lot. Thanks again for taking a quick second and liking and subscribing if you haven't as of yet. Take care. Have a great rest of your Wednesday evening. And of course, I'll be back the next time there's more impactful weather here in Central Florida. Until then, you all take care, friends. Thank you very much.